I hope you've had your coffee already because I have a lot of information. This is going to be fast-paced, but have no fear. I'll share my contact information in chat when I'm done and some other resources. I'm so thrilled to be here today to share information about how to hold a virtual open house. This is uncharted territory for many of us, and I will tell you at the District 6 level, we decided to hold a virtual open house. It had never been done, so we pulled together a great group of Toastmasters, and I'm going to share today some tips on what we learned and make some suggestions along the way. To let you know, we did promote our event through Eventbrite, and we had 83 people register for this event. At the district level, we had two main goals for our first virtual open house. First, it was a guest event. We wanted to help the clubs in District 6 build their membership. We thought if we could plan the event and then the clubs could help promote it, it was a win-win, a great partnership. And then the second thing is we wanted to invite all Toastmasters to attend this event so they could see how a virtual open house could be held, and then they could use that as a framework for their own virtual open houses. And I think it was a success. Again, we had 83 people registered, a great combination of Toastmasters and guests. This morning, what I'm going to do is I am going to share information on how to plan, how to promote, and how to present a virtual open house. Of course, the plan, that is so important. And as Jean mentioned, there's a lot of planning on the front end, and it's very similar to any event that you would plan, but there's a few unique things you have to consider when hosting an event online or even in hybrid mode. You have to think of the date and time, the venue. Are you going to use Zoom, WebEx? Is it going to be hybrid? Do you have any technology that you need to consider, especially if it's going to be a hybrid mode? Who is going to serve in the various roles? You still need a Toastmaster and all of the other roles that are listed on the slide, but you also should consider a Zoom administrator, somebody who is just going to be focused on the chat, somebody who will break people out into breakout rooms if you're going to use that, and somebody to welcome people into the room if you're going to have a waiting room. That's a great role for a Zoom administrator. Now let me talk about breakout room hosts. As Jean mentioned, at our open houses when we met in person, we could greet each other, we could welcome each other. At the district level, we wanted to emulate that similar welcome, that engagement, bring up that energy and connection. We decided to have breakout rooms so that as everybody joined, they were moved into a breakout room. In each of the breakout rooms, we had a Toastmaster serving as host. Their role was to initially share their 2-minute story about why they joined Toastmasters and then engage in conversation, just have some fun. They could have the mini table topics, they could ask people general questions. The most important thing was that they wanted to get people talking, they wanted to get some connection going. Think of them as the warm-up for the main event. The other thing that you obviously want to think about is marketing. Who do you want at this event? Virtual open house. With the Eventbrite, what's great about the registration form is you can customize it. For example, I wanted to know who was a Toastmaster and who was a guest before the event. That was important information to have as we were breaking people into the different breakout rooms, because we wanted to make sure that all of our guests didn't end up in the same room. And you can also ask questions such as, how did you hear about the event? That helps you know which of your marketing pieces got noticed. The other thing to use within Eventbrite are the hashtags. Hashtag Toastmasters, hashtag public speaking. All of these keywords are going to help people direct to your event because they're doing different searches. If they're looking for leadership development, your event will pop up. In Eventbrite, you can have a description about your event. I would highly recommend certainly talking about what's going to happen at your event, but also include your website so that the guests can learn more about you. The one thing that I would not include, and Jean mentioned this as well, is do not add your Zoom link on the front end. Unfortunately, we do have some folks who thinks it's fun to grab those Zoom links and disrupt events. We don't want that for you. So make sure that you include your Zoom or WebEx, whichever link you have for your online platform. Include that in your confirmation emails. Eventbrite also has great ways to schedule reminders for your event, and you can purchase ads to promote your event through Eventbrite. If you haven't used it, I'd recommend that you give it a whirl. As far as advertising your event, you can certainly purchase ads via Eventbrite. You can purchase ads through social media, through Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And you can use other ways to advertise your event through newspaper and local media. Of course, you want to post your event on your club website, your social media site, the Toastmasters various social media accounts. But one thing that I recommend is that Toastmasters also include these events on their personal social media accounts, their LinkedIn's, their Twitter, their Facebook, because then you already have a connection with the followers that you have. Let them know that you're a Toastmaster. Another thing that I recommend when promoting an event is 5. I ask all members to invite 5 people to the event. Now, will all 5 attend? No. But sometimes it's a numbers game. If you invite 5, then you might get 1 or 2. If everybody in your club is inviting 5 people, think of how successful your event will be. As far as promoting, you can also use the local newspaper and radio stations, and many of the newspapers will write up articles or put you in their events calendar for free. Think about those ways to promote your event. Now let's talk about how to present a virtual open house. Toastmasters International has a fantastic open house slide deck that is ready for you to use. I will share this link and other links in chat. I'm also going to share this PowerPoint slide with Jean Pearson and Dave, and then perhaps they could share this out to everybody so that you have this as a resource. This slide deck is beautifully created, has great images. It also has slide notes that you can use. Think of it as a script. But I would make it your own, and I'll show you what I did to make it my own in moments. So as you'll remember, for the District 6 open house, everybody joined a breakout room initially, and then when they came back, I served as both Toastmaster and General Evaluator for our event. As people were coming back, I was smiling. Hi, welcome back. Did you have a fun time? Oh, I hear some laughter. I just fed off that energy as people were coming back into the event. Then when everybody was back, I said, thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad to hear that you had a fun time in your breakout rooms. My name is Linda. I'm your Toastmaster. Think of me as your MC for the night. Tonight, we're going to share information about Toastmasters, and you'll get to see how a Toastmasters meeting is held. I wanted to set the expectation in that brief intro. And then I dived into the PowerPoint slides. So let me go ahead and advance. I want to let you know that I did choose this view of PowerPoint on purpose because I wanted to show you that there are these slide notes. Here's a script that's available to you so that you can use this as you're sharing these slides during your open house. So after I had the welcome, I shared that I was going to tell them a little bit about Toastmasters, and here we go. I talked about Toastmasters, and I'm going to go through this quick. I didn't go through it this quickly during the open house. And then we talked about how they will benefit the Toastmasters Club experience. And again, this was all created by Toastmasters International. I also read the club mission. Then I added a slide. I added a slide with an agenda, and the agenda had this main point here, this main portion of it in a screenshot, and I'll show you that in the next slide. I just wanted the meat and potatoes so that people could see the times and who was speaking when. But this document was also posted in chat for everybody to download and see on their own. In addition to the meeting format, you'll also want to include your club website, Toastmasters International website, and include a link to Toastmasters International's fantastic virtual guest packet. Now, I know that Southern Minnesota Mentors has a great guest packet, and they included it in their Eventbrite. Well done. I also would encourage everybody to include this guest packet link within your agenda. And then as I went over the agenda, I thanked the team as well. After posting the agenda, I gave my welcome. We went through the general evaluator section, and I talked about general evaluation, why it's important, and the benefits that Toastmasters receive in these roles. And I educated people throughout the event on the different roles. After the general evaluation team introduced themselves, then we had a speaker. And for the speaker, she had a slide. We gave some basic information about our speaker, and then here's the agenda. So I just showed this portion of the agenda so that people could see all of the different times and presenters. After the speaker was done, I brought the PowerPoint back up so that they could see the agenda. And then we moved to the table topic section of the event. And then whenever there was a main speaker, I stopped sharing so that we could see the Brady Bunch view of everybody, and most importantly, the speaker. And then we went through, after table topics, the general evaluation portion. And then during the Toastmaster closing remarks, I continued using the PowerPoint and went through what is the Pathways learning experience. I talked about pathways. Learning doesn't stop at the club level, and other resources. Break barriers, not your budget. This PowerPoint is fantastic. It covers everything that you need to know if you're a guest attending an open house. And then there was another slide with ready to join, here's how, and you can customize this slide. And then I thanked my fellow Toastmasters for their assistance and opened the floor for questions. At this time, I know I shared a lot of detail with you. I would love to open the floor for any questions that you all may have.
Linda, I have a question. This is Mary Peters.
Hi, Mary. Yes.
Is Eventbrite free to use, or is there a cost involved?
That is a great question. It is free to use if your event is free. When you're setting up the event, you set up how much it costs, and you just say 0, and it's completely free for you to use.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Ramdeo asked, I noticed one speaker on the agenda. Is this a best practice? We decided that we wanted to have one speaker because we wanted to make sure that we had time to use that beautiful PowerPoint to share information about all that Toastmasters offers. So that's what we decided to do, and others do as well. Sometimes Toastmasters, when they're holding an open house, they'll have maybe a newer speaker and maybe a more seasoned speaker so that guests can see the development that happens over time. That's completely up to the club. Great question. The nature of the speech. Again, this is something that you talk about during your planning meeting. You can definitely, in my opinion, if you're going to have one speaker, I think it's promotional. It's what Toastmasters did for me. It's a testimonial so that the attendees can hear how that specific person benefited from Toastmasters and their specific journey. If you're having two speakers, perhaps you have one that's more promotional and you have a second one that's inspirational. But again, you can talk through what your goal is and what you want your guests to leave with as you're working through that planning. Great question. Okay. How much in advance did you start to promote the open house, and how often did you promote leading up to the event? You can never promote too much, in my opinion. So as far as the September event that we had, it was September 24th. We started planning in mid-August, and then toward the end of August, we started promoting through the District 6 Facebook group, the website, reaching out to all members. We had 3 different newsletters that we promoted it in. There were communications that went out to all members. And we also created promotional flyers that people could use. I went out to my LinkedIn and I put a little promotional article on my own personal LinkedIn account. So we promoted quite a bit. I don't have the actual number, but I would say at least 20 different hits, if you will, promoting it in different ways. And that's just from the district level. Then all of the clubs were invited to post it on their websites, through their Facebook channels, through their personal channels. So I would say you just really can't start soon enough, but don't be afraid to promote it more, and especially as the date comes a little bit closer. And I should share too, and I'll share this in the chat in moments, District 6 is also going to hold another virtual open house on November 10th at 7 p.m. Central. Again, November 10th, 7 p.m. Central. All of you are invited. I'll put the link to register so that you could at least register for the event, see what the experience is like registering for the District 6 Eventbrite. I know you went through Eventbrite for this one. And you can attend that event, see the framework, and see a full open house in action if that would be beneficial to you. And please feel free to invite your guests to the District 6 virtual open house and then follow up with them and let us help you build membership. Is it possible to have too much of a testimonial aspect? Great question. I think if it comes from the heart, I think if it's not a hard sell, for example, if I were going to talk about my experience, I would joke that my husband and I were at a Culver's in Northfield having dinner. And my husband went to the bathroom to wash his hands. He came back and he said, "Hey, there's a Toastmasters meeting in the party room tonight. Can we go?" And that's literally how I got involved with Toastmasters. And so if you have it from the heart and you just share some of your personal growth, I think it's just fine. And I think people really relate to it because it's a human story. I think that's all the questions. I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Happy to answer more in chat.